Hey there, man. How you doing? Sorry we're a little late getting started. I couldn't for the life of me get this thing working on my computer, so hopefully next time we'll be able to do it on the computer. And why they can't make it work easy on a computer, but they can make it work on a phone, go figure. Aloha, brother. Love Hawaii. What island are you on? What's up, Rob? What island are you on? Maui? Oahu. Nice. Love Hawaii. Iowa? Oh, man. That's not Hawaii. I think we'd all rather be in Hawaii. Washington State, I assume. Very good. Awesome. Once again, sorry, guys. I tried to get this up and running right at 9 o'clock, but the computer, for whatever reason, it's got like 50 options. You got to download this encoding software and all this crap just to get things going. Okinawa? Holy cow. That's phenomenal. West Virginia, Phoenix, British Columbia. We're all over the world, man. Okinawa, that's crazy. What are your gun laws like? I can't imagine it being super awesome. In my day job, I sell software and I work with APAC, Asia Pacific, so I work with companies in Japan. In fact, I'm about to close a deal with Nissan any day now, so that's awesome. You're from Japan. Sandy, I could throw a rock and hit Sandy, Utah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Where else are you guys hailing from? Anybody else on here? San Diego? I love San Diego. I used to live in San Marcos, actually. Lived there for 2 years and kind of got started with long range shooters of Utah while I lived there. I went up to the Pala Range in Northern County. I lived in San Marcos back when I was shooting the 300 Win Mag. Oklahoma, Wisconsin, SLC, Salt Lake City, right up the street. Michigan, very cool. Eagle Mountain, that's exciting. Very cool. 50 people, all right. Ark City, Kansas, cool. Phoenix, awesome. How many of you guys heard about this on Instagram versus getting a notification from YouTube? I'm assuming most saw it on Instagram. Uh-oh, low battery. Got to plug in here. West Virginia. YouTube, very cool. YouTube, okay, YouTube, Texas YouTube. So I had the same thing happen like a week ago. You guys probably all know who Tiberisaurus Rex is, or Rex Reviews. Same thing, he popped up on my phone. I was like, holy crap, Rex is on. I got to talk to this guy. And he came on board, him and his wife. Couldn't talk my wife into getting on here. But very cool that it just popped up and logged on. Oh my gosh, Curtis Broadbent. Yes, Curtis is human. Very human. Good dude. Killer shooter. His kids are amazing too. You probably saw the videos of his kids shooting the milk jug first shot at 1,000 yards. It's like, go figure. Of course, Curtis's kids are gonna freaking kill the jug in the first shot. Nice. Yeah, I watched Rex's video. He's a very funny guy. He's got his funny accent. I think he's from North Dakota or somewhere up close to I missed some there. Somebody, what'd you guys say? Got a build currently in the works from Short Action Customs. Those guys make great rifles. In fact, I almost did a deal with them to do my next build, but I think I may go with my old boy Moon at Crescent Customs that built the 7300 that you guys have probably watched in some of the videos. Anilles, yep, sitting right there on my excessively dirty reloading bench. Trying to clean this place up. Oh, that was his webmaster. I thought that was his wife. Huh. Oh, Curtis is 260. Yeah, he shoots a Creedmoor now. He actually shoots a 308. Hey, man, 22 Armory, how you doing? Yeah, the kids are asleep. Finally got the little one in bed. The other two, you might see my little buddy Cash, my little boy. He'll probably pop his head around the corner here and sneak in. He's pretty funny. Lives in Orem. I work very close to Orem. So, where else are you guys coming from? Anybody else that hasn't given a shout out and said where they're from yet? Must be everybody. I have not seen the Minox yet. Alco Bullets, haven't heard of them either. Iceland, holy crap. That's amazing. Michigan, Walla Walla. Where the hell's that? Australia? Michigan, Vancouver, very cool. Utah's great. I grew up in Wyoming, which is probably even greater than Utah if you don't like people and you like sagebrush and hunting and fishing and stuff. But Utah's great, man. It's if you're a beer drinker or an alcohol drinker, the alcohol here doesn't have as much alcohol in it, which kind of sucks, or the beer doesn't, and you got to buy your alcohol at the state liquor store, which is pretty dumb for those that drink. But Utah's a great place. Gun laws are awesome. People are awesome. You got to handle the cold in the winter unless you live in the southern part of the state. But if you like to ski or snowboard, greatest snow on earth, man. Well, so they say, but it's solid. Yeah, I haven't heard of those Alco Bullets before. 6 Creedmoor 260, 6.5 Creedmoor all the way. 260 is kind of going the way of the 308. It's just, not everybody in Utah is Mormon. You're probably, down where I live, you're probably a little more than 50%, maybe more. And then the rest of the state, like up in Salt Lake area, you're like maybe 30 or 40, well, I don't know, 50%. Somewhere between 50 and 70% Mormon in Utah. But we're okay, people. Come on, man. Team Las Vegas. Not sure what that is. Gun laws in Arizona aren't bad. Harriman, very cool. You're right around the corner. I don't have a Creedmoor, so I haven't tried the Creedmoor brass, but I'm sure it's fantastic. All of my brass I shoot in my 6.5 is all Lapua brass, and it's awesome. So... no, nothing wrong with the 260. I'm just saying that when you got Creedmoor brass, Lapua brass for the Creedmoor now, and you got, what you're able to do with that, 260s maybe not the top of the heap. They're all really close, but the 260s, of those three, it's probably my third choice. The 7300 has probably 2,000 rounds, maybe a little bit more out of it, and it's still shooting strong, except that I got a case stuck in it. So I'm actually sending it out to Moon any day now to have it to have that case removed. I can't get it out for the life of me, and he's probably going to rebarrel it. I'm actually going to do a 338 edge barrel on it too, and do a little bit of a switch barrel system and go out and do the. If you guys check out, go on YouTube and search 1 and 2 mile marksman challenge, and the same guy that does the 22 marksman challenge you see in my videos, he does a 1 and 2 mile challenge. So these guys are going out and shooting 2 miles. And they got this big, like 5-foot square piece of steel with a inner circle that's like 1.5 minutes of angle at 2 miles. And they go out and shoot it with like 50s and 375s and 338s. They use the cold shot mounts, which have like up to 300 minutes of angle built into it. Their friggin' scope is aimed like that at their barrel. But it's like a 9-second flight time out to 2 miles. So I want to do a 338 edge barrel and go out and try that and try to win one of their little plaques. So, Australia, love you guys. Did you see the podcast I did with, trying to remember the name of the guys that did it, but I did a podcast for a group out of Australia. North Ogden, yep, I went to Weber for a year. High jumped for Weber State. Price, nice. Scott's an awesome guy. I'm surprised I haven't run into you before. 308 muzzle brake. There's some great muzzle brakes. All the bastard brakes, the fat bastard, the little bastard, those are all great. The mad scientist brake is great. I love the Badger thruster brake. You really can't go wrong with a brake. I mean, most of them are going to be pretty solid. I know I won't hate on the 260. It's fine. What else we got here? Ruger American 22, very cool. Yeah, they're going to be sending me a Ruger American Predator 6.5 Creedmoor to do a budget build video on. Rifling styles, button. So if you watch my video I did with John Krieger, he talks about the different ways to cut a barrel. And from what he says, I mean, granted, he's a barrel maker, right? And he's only going to say one way is right. But if you think about the mechanics of how they cut the barrels, I would say that the rifle, rifle cut is by far the best because they're taking and milling out little by little by little by little. It's a longer process versus a button where they're just ramming this button through and basically forcing it through. So for me, I mean, all of them are going to shoot great. I mean, it's a Chevy Ford type of an argument, but I personally would probably go with a rifle. My favorite barrels are like Bartlein, Krieger. I'll probably be rocking a Krieger on my next build. Michigan, what's up? Illinois, how's it going? Prime makes great ammo. Yep, I'm gonna try to get them to sponsor this budget rifle build. Got some Illinois boys there talking. Reloader 26 and a 647. Yeah, I mean, there's guys in our group. Like, there's a guy named Steve Eames. If you get on our Facebook group and meet him, he's tested just about every powder you can possibly imagine in his 6 Creedmoor and 6.5 Creedmoor and 6.5 and it's amazing how many powders. I mean, other powders outside of 4350 shoot really, really well, and you can get better speeds out of a lot of them too. Thanks, Jeremy. What's up, brother? Our oldest daughter, I'm answering Bobby's question about why I moved out of San Diego. So we moved down there right out of college. My wife's a CPA, and I was doing sales for a vacation rental company right on the coast. And we moved down there, lived there for 2 years, and then we'd been married 5 years. So we decided to have our first kid. And she was born, thought everything was fine. She ended up having a really rare condition called Prader-Willi syndrome. So they rushed her to the Rady Children's Hospital in San Diego. And we spent 9 weeks in the NICU trying to figure out what was wrong with her, and finally got a diagnosis, and it's a pretty heavy-duty diagnosis. I'll let you Google it. Basically, she's addicted to food. She has no sensation of being hungry or full. She just eats and eats and eats and eats and eats. So our fridge, our pantry, anything food-wise in our house is locked up. So because of that, and because of the job situation, my wife having taken maternity leave and all, it was a perfect time to move back to Utah, be with family, and whatnot. So that's why we moved. Plus, we want to buy a house, and houses down there are ridiculous. I've never tried subsonic 6.5 Creedmoor. That would be kind of I'm not sure why you'd want to do that other than trying to be quiet. Black Rain AR308 can only get 1.5 MOA. If I slap on a JP Match Bolt and Barrel, odds I was seeing. JP makes some great stuff. Certainly wouldn't hurt. I mean, really with an AR, it's all about the barrel and the trigger. And then second to that, I'd say the bolt carrier group, and then maybe the buffer tube. And that's assuming that you've got a decent upper and lower that aren't total garbage. But if you do those things, it should shoot great. And then of course finding a load that it likes is the biggest part. Well, the barrel's the biggest part, really. Yeah, Eli, I'm kind of getting used to this myself. Yeah, love San Diego. Lived there for a few years. Absolutely loved it. If you haven't eaten at the Yellow Deli in Vista, it's quite the experience. I love Harney Sushi, too, in Oceanside. We'll actually be down there, depending on how work goes. I may be down for a week in San Diego next week. I keep screwing up this whole feed thing. Number of grooves in the barrel affect barrel life. What are the pros and cons of more lands versus less? That's a really technical question, brother. I don't know that I have an answer to that. That'd be a good one to check out AccurateShooter.com and see what kind of info they have. If you remind me of that next year at SHOT Show, I'll pin down John Krieger and some of the other barrel makers like Lothar Walther, whatever it is. I'll pin them down and ask them what they say. But I'm not sure on that, man. I know there's hypotheses about why the 5R is better or whatever, so... I have not looked. I get asked this Athlon question all the time. I have not played with an Athlon. I've seen them. I've looked through one once. I think they're right there with Vortex. They're kind of that middle of the range. They're trying to be Vortex. So, I think they're probably okay. I don't see a lot of legitimate competitors running them at all. Guys that also own Collis and Night Force and really fancy stuff. You will see those kind of guys on their ARs or on their practice builds or other stuff. They'll run. I've seen one guy run a Burris, but most guys are running SWFA, Citron, a Night Force SHV, some Vortex stuff. So I'm not sure on the Athlon. They must be okay. I do see a lot of people, like kind of mid-range guys or newer guys, do shoot them, but I also see a lot of them go up for sale. So I don't know. They're kind of unproven. Let's see. I can help you with your home loan. I already bought a house, brother. I'm sitting in it. North Carolina. Geissele triggers. Love Geissele. That's what I run in my SPR. My dad did a Timney in his, and it's a single stage, which I like. Mine's the Geissele SSAE. I think they're the best trigger for an AR out there. There's a lot of great ones, but you can't go wrong with the Geissele. Thanks, Shannon. Love the Milk Jug Challenge. Want to do it. Actually, on that note, since you guys tuned in, and you obviously are fans here, so I had my 2 guys from Ireland had to drop out of the International Milk Jug Challenge on May 26th and 27th. So I do have 2 spots open. I haven't opened them on the website. So if you are interested in traveling out to Utah and shooting in the 2-day Milk Jug Challenge, which is all the different distances, so 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, and a mile. It'll be a 2-day event. We've got awesome sponsors. Phone Scope is giving out 15 $75 gift cards. I just was talking to Krieger Barrels the other day. They very well could do some discounts on some barrels they'll be giving out. Yep, Amrad Paul dropped out. His dad got really sick, ended up in the hospital, and so he's having to take over the family business, the fishing business over there in Ireland. And then his buddy who was going to come with him doesn't want to come by himself. So they both dropped out. So I've got 2 $200 spots, which means you get all 4 challenges, and you get one of our steel backers for every distance. You get to take those home. So if you come and shoot well, you could actually walk away with more in prizes money-wise than what you pay to shoot the challenge. And we've got good deals on hotels. We'll go out and get some food together, and it'll be a good time. So that'll be May 26th and 27th. If you're interested in traveling out to Utah and you're not a Utah resident, you can't live in Utah, shoot me an email at info@longrangeshootersofutah.com, and I'll get you set up to register for that. All right, I'm getting behind here. Oh boy, I'm really behind. Nobody shot it with that kind of a pistol. They've shot the other pistols. Yeah, I love Hawaii. I've got a buddy that lives right across the street from BYU Hawaii, or the Polynesian Cultural Center, that dirtbag. He lives right on the beach. He does apps for phones. Favorite long-range optics? I'm a Night Force and Collis fan. Vortex Gen 2s are great. I don't have a problem with Vortex. I like Vortex. If it's my money, I'm going to spend it on a Night Force or a Collis. Those are just the ones I like. Schmidt and Bender obviously are awesome. Tangent Theta are awesome, but I'm not going to spend the extra money for the extra benefit, any perceived extra benefit. I'm really a Night Force and Collis fan. I really love the Collis because it's got that really awesome zero stop feature where you don't have to undo any screws, you don't take anything apart. You just bring it around, zero it, and it automatically builds a zero stop into it. It's a really cool optic. Plus they have the Skimmer 3 reticle with the floating dot in the middle and the Christmas tree. In my Night Force, I've got the Tremor 3, which is really the same thing. If you watch the most recent video with the bubble levels, how to use a bubble level and the importance of bubble level, you'll see that reticle and see through the Night Force. Yeah, if you come out and shoot the Milk Jug Challenge with a regular old 357 pistol, we'll definitely take good care of you and do something cool. Thoughts on the 7mm08? You don't see a lot about it. It's obviously a great round. I mean, it's basically a 308 that's necked down to a 7mm, so you're going to get better performance than a 308. But it is going to be slower than a 6.5 or a 6mm. I mean, that's always the balance, is speed versus bullet size. You get a bigger bullet, you get a higher BC, but if it's going slower, it's going to go transonic sooner, and then everything goes to crap. Where if you can get a high BC bullet going faster or find a happy medium, then you're going to have a better overall performance. So 7M08 is fine. I think it's a great round for for ladies, for youth. If you want to shoot something more like a 308, but you want to shoot a little higher BC bullet than a 7M08. But you're not going to see guys shooting a 7mm08 in like a PRS competition. They'll go with a 6.5 SOM or a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 6.5 47 or a 6x47 or a 6 Creedmoor far before they will a 7mm08. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great round, and I'm a huge fan of 7mm. I just would like to push those bullets a lot faster than what a 7mm08 is able to do. Max target range for factory 308 Sierra Match Kings. I mean, a 308 can get out to a mile, but it's slowing down. I mean, what you got to kind of take into account when you're thinking about maximum range for any particular cartridge is when does it go transonic. Once it hits about 1100 feet per second, it's going to go back through the sound barrier, and that could affect it, and it starts losing stability. So with a 308 shooting that bullet, that could probably happen at like 1,200 yards. So anything beyond 1,200 yards, it's going to start getting shaky. But then again, you see guys on our channel that pop a milk jug at a mile. Now, granted, he wasn't shooting a group like this at a mile, like some of the 338s and like my 7mm 300 was shooting pretty amazing groups at a mile. He was kind of here and there, as you saw in the video, but he hit it. So, it's hard to say. It's really just a math question. Your ballistics app will tell you, when it's going to go transonic. Holy crap. I'm getting behind so bad here. US Optics, they're great. Nothing wrong with them. They're just not quite as big. I think they're getting a little bit bigger. I just haven't had a chance to play with them. I've heard a few guys complain about them. My concern with them is they're big, they're well known, they make a great optic, but they're not quite as big as, even like Vortex and Night Force and Collis. Collis is part of Swarovski. So when you get these big companies, they have the ability to produce a lot of product and do a lot of testing, where you get a smaller company, even if it's making a great product, if they don't have as many out there, you don't get as much feedback, you maybe don't have the ability to create as good of a product at the competitive price. But they're great. I wouldn't, if someone found a great deal on a US Optic, I wouldn't tell them not to get it. I think they're great. I also haven't had a tremendous amount of experience with them. I like their short, flat turret. It's pretty cool. But I really like Collis, and Night Force is just awesome. So I'm wondering if you have any input on ELD by Hornady, for input on a 308 barrel Panther Bull. So ELDs are great. Hornady and Sierra both have really recognized that they fell way behind Berger, and now they're catching up and even surpassing Berger. So both Sierra and Hornady have come out with some amazing bullets lately. Like the 6mm 110 Sierra Match Kings are amazing. Their BC is incredible. The 182 7mm Sierra Match Kings are incredible. They've just got some killer bullets coming out, and Hornady as well. Some of the guys have been doing testing around here and doing like getting a box and weighing it and finding what the kind of the standard deviation is between the weights of the bullets within a particular box and comparing the different brands. And there's definitely some that stand out among the others, and I think it'd surprise you which ones they are. I want to do a video like that where I can do a comparison like that at some point. It's on the list of a million things that I need to do. Thanks about the barrel maker questions. I just want to do something different at SHOT Show and go ask some of these kind of taboo questions, or questions that people get asked or that are nervous to ask, and everybody has differing opinions on. I wanted to ask those of some real experts and see what they said, and obviously the answers were awesome. Yeah, I've considered teaching some classes. It's just, I don't know. I'm not like the end-all, be-all expert of everything by any means. Maybe that's just me being humble. I don't know, but I don't know. It'd be cool to teach classes. I'd love to quit my day job and just do this stuff all the time, but realistically, trying to replace my income by doing that stuff would be, maybe. You might see that down the road. Torture test on the Argos, that'd be cool. Yeah, I had to talk to them to see if they'll send me one I can beat up. Yes, Rob, Emrod Paul dropped out. It's a bummer. Wow, I'm jumping all over the place here. Bullet seating on the 7mm Rem Mag with the 180 grain Bergers, I would say 20 thou off the lands is a good place to start. I would definitely try different things. Try, a thou off the lands, thou and a half, 2 thou, but usually somewhere around 2 thou is what they tend to like. I haven't tried the Hyperfire. We could definitely do a Milk Jug challenge in Vegas. In fact, I've considered coming down for SHOT Show and doing one during the SHOT Show weekend and getting some of the other like celebrities, like the some of the YouTube and whatever celebrities to come out and shoot it with me, and then any other people that want to come as well. It'd be fun. The Utah challenges, Eli, are in typically held in Price, Utah, at the North Springs range. That's where we do most of our competitions and stuff. That way we don't have some idiot on a four-wheeler riding across the desert and ruining our event. Atlas or Harris, that's a tough question, man. Harris is $100 and the Atlas is $275. So I don't think there's anything wrong with either one. Definitely don't buy a Caldwell or a Blackhawk. Those are crap. But Atlas are great. Harris are great. If you haven't looked at the Evo bipod, if you're going to buy a Atlas, I would look at the Evo. I like the Evo even better. Adjustable cheek riser, I would have told you to go with Southwest Precision, but they're out of business. So I would recommend going with Matthews Fabrication. He sells his stuff on YouTube. He's also a member of LRSU. He lives in St. George, Utah. If you watch my video where we compare the two cheek risers on a 22, his information is there. But his name's Matthew Bills, and he's out of St. George, Utah. He's on LRSU. Announced get the Milk Jug Challenge with an AR-15 223. I actually shot the 1,000-yard Milk Jug Challenge with the 223, and I actually took some shots at 1,200, but it was getting dark and we couldn't see anything. So, but I did hit the jug at the 1,000 with an AR-223, and there's been a few guys hit it with a bolt gun, one with a 22-250, shooting 55 grain bullets. So, Maine, living in Maine, cool. I'd love to come to Maine and shoot a challenge if you can get enough people to justify the cost of going out there. I'd go about anywhere if it made sense financially. 22 cans, depends on the can. If it's a can that can be taken apart and cleaned, probably tumbling it in stainless tumbling media is what a lot of guys do, but be aware that it might discolor some of the parts, rub the finish off the parts. Thoughts on cleaning barrel, how often it should be done. Jordan, I would watch my video where I interviewed George Gardner, and then another video where I interviewed John Krieger from Krieger Barrels. They talk all about cleaning. Just depends on the caliber. Some calibers don't need to be cleaned as much. Anything that's overboard, you'd want to clean a little more often. For George Gardner, he said he cleans, after or before every match that he shoots. So normally in a match, he'll shoot 300 to 400 rounds, sometimes more, and plus his practice rounds or whatever, and he'll clean about that often. Keep in mind that after you clean, you're going to have to fire a few shots to refoul the barrel so it starts shooting well again. But that's probably about the maximum I would do. I'm actually more of a proponent of never cleaning your gun, but after talking to both John Krieger doesn't think you should clean your gun unless you get a carbon ring, then clean it. If it starts to shoot like crap, clean it. But other than that, he doesn't clean his barrels. So somewhere between every 400 or 500 rounds and never cleaning it, or only cleaning it when it doesn't shoot well, would probably be my suggestion. Wilson loading tools, I haven't, but I would actually like to. Those are the bench rest arbor presses. 22-250 is a great round. It's kind of a barrel burner. It's definitely pushes those heavy 223 bullets very fast, which is awesome. But it's a barrel burner, so your barrel life's going to be short. Great varmint round, great coyote round. Yeah, you could push a 22-250 out that far. A 7.5 twist, 80 grain bullet. Yeah, I mean I shot it with a 77 grain bullet out of a 1-in-7 twist. And it was, if you watch my SPR video where I shot the 1,000-yard Milk Jug Challenge, I should have hit it on the second, third shot. Fourth shot was a flyer. Fifth shot was right there. I think my sixth shot was a flyer, and the seventh or eighth shot hit it right on. So my AR is really damn consistent at that distance with a very similar setup as you're talking about. Recommendations on Gen 3 clip-on night vision. I'm not an expert on night vision. I'd like to get into that stuff, but I'm not an expert. Transonic goes bad. Yeah. Well, just because you've gone subsonic doesn't mean you can't hit stuff. You can also be very lucky, like Michael, too, but he's very good and lucky. But, yeah. 110 BA Stealth, I think it's a great factory rifle. There's a lot of great factory rifles. The Ruger Precision's awesome. The Savages always make great guns. Even I think the new Mossberg MVP or whatever is probably pretty solid. Tikka makes some great guns. They're factory guns, so you can find factory guns that'll legitimately shoot a quarter to a half minute of angle, but you could also find the next gun in the production line that struggles to shoot a minute of angle. So that's the problem with factory guns, but they're getting better. Met Neil at Ready Gunner when I went up there and shot my guns up there. Yep, Neil is awesome. Great guy. He's actually an ex-Special Forces dude. He was an Army Ranger. There you go. So a little validation on the Stealth 300 Win Mag. Yep. 22 Nosler. Didn't even look at it. The guys that did look at it were like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be cool, but I didn't really look at it. So I couldn't tell you on the 22 Nosler. They're obviously that's their gig, is let's take normal calibers and put more powder behind them and see what happens. So ELDs are awesome. Night Force HSV versus Vortex Viper PST Gen 2. I haven't got my hands on a PST Gen 2 to play with, but they are sending me one. I should have one any day. I should get one, and I'll do a full review of them, and I can give you a better idea. I think the Night Force SHV is probably the better option. It is also a little more expensive. So if it were me, I'd probably go SHV, but keep in mind I haven't played with the Gen 2s a whole lot. What do you do now for employment? I sell enterprise marketing analytics auditing software. Really boring stuff. So websites like I'm closing the deal right now with Nissan. They spend probably millions on analytics software to track what you do on their website. Those analytics tools don't always work. They're called tags. They break. So the tool that we developed basically audits the website, finds out if those tags are working or not, and then alerts the company or alerts the folks in charge of analytics for Nissan or for whatever company that those are broken, and that way they can fix them so they don't lose a bunch of data about you and I visiting their site. So that's my day job. Used to sell medical software and been selling this stuff for about 2 years. Northern California. Hey, Kai Blackout. Ruger RPR and 6.5 Creedmoor. Have currently a load of 40.9 grains of H100V. Have you tried this powder? I have not. I don't have a Creedmoor. I do have a 6.547, which is very close, and I've only shot H4350. That's the most popular powder, but there's a lot of other ones that are great. There's Varget actually is a great powder to try for your 6.5 Creedmoor. MOA versus mil. Pick one and just go with it. It's inches and minutes. There's not really an advantage or disadvantage per se. Anybody that shoots bench rest or shoots F-class or any of those is going to shoot MOA. They're also going to shoot second focal plane where they want a really fine reticle. And then anybody that shoots tactical is probably going to shoot mils. I shot MOA for a long time in those matches and did just fine. There's really, for the tactical style stuff, a lot of it's about speed and about being able to quickly, make adjustments and whatnot. So mils have a little bit of an advantage in that if you look at my dope chart, at 1,000 yards, my dope is like 7 point something mils. At 900 yards, it's 6 mils. At 800 yards, it's 5 mils, 4. I mean, it's almost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my dope. It's kind of funky till you get down to like the 300, 200, whatever. So that's pretty sweet because it's a lot easier. Mils is all in metrics, so if you're trying to range and you're accustomed to metrics and meters like the military is, then mils is the way to go because the math to range things is a lot easier. It removes a whole step. But for folks in the U.S., if you're never going to shoot a tactical match, MOA is probably easier because it's all in inches. So if I'm an inch low at 100 yards, I know I need to come up 1 minute of angle. If I'm 10 inches low at 1,000 yards, I know I need to come up a minute of angle. Whereas with mils, it's all metrics, so you'd have to use your optic, your reticle to measure and then make your adjustment or, get where you can remember it. So either one's fine. If you're going to do a lot of tactical stuff, PRS type shooting, I'd probably say just go with mils. If you're going to do anything else, hunting, F-class, anything like that, or if you're really accustomed to MOA already, I'd just go with MOA. Any idea why my match burners 175 are all over the place? I would call them. So what I would do if you've got a lot of match or of any ammo that's not working well, you could do a few things. I mean, if it's just abnormally not working, I would go through and weigh them and make sure that the weights aren't all over the place. Maybe you just got a really bad lot of ammo. I'd also play with the seating depth. It may be that you're just not loading them to a depth that they like, and then just go through and do your load development again. But if you had like your load development all dialed in and then all of a sudden it's not shooting well, I would try a couple things. You might clean your barrel if you haven't cleaned your barrel in a long time. Like I said before, I don't normally clean stuff unless it starts shooting like crap. So I'd clean my barrel, fire 10 fouling rounds, and then shoot some groups and see if it fixes it. And just kind of go through a sequence of different things that might be affecting, why it's not shooting well. Make sure your action screws are tightened in. Make sure your scope rings are tightened in. Make sure that you're doing your part. Things like that. Mitt Thor 123. What do you think of the camera bullet? Oh, I hope that's a joke. The camera bullet was a joke. It came out on April 1st. It was totally a joke. Not a real thing, and I don't even know how something like that would even work. You silly. What's a good twist rate for a 6mm 110 Sierras? I would say 1-7 or 1-8. Hey, West Desert Shooter. I actually saw some of your videos, man. I was like, hell, why don't I know this guy? Why haven't I seen this kid around? Saw you shooting out of the back of your truck. You want to be careful doing that. You can get in trouble for shooting out for any vehicle, even if it's static and holding still. You can get in trouble for, so be careful about that. But yeah, I'd go with a 1-7 twist ideally, but I've got a lot of guys that shoot 1-8 twist with 110, and it works great. But 1-7, if you called Sierra and asked them, or if you went on the Berger stability calculator on their website and just punched in 110, they would recommend a 1-7. So if you're worried about a twist rate on a barrel, whether it's going to shoot a gun right, if twist rate of the barrel is going to shoot a bullet right or shoot it well or stabilize a bullet, go to the manufacturer's website. They'll typically tell you what they recommend. My opinion of the RPR 6.5 Creedmoor, I think it's a great option for getting started. Great option. One thing to keep in mind is if you can't get a good deal on one, if you're paying $1,500 or $1,600 for one, that's where I would say there's other options that might be better. So if you're paying that kind of money for a 6.5 RPR, then I would probably go with a Tikka and then take it to a gunsmith, buy yourself a KRG or an XLR chassis, and I would swap it out. I'd swap out the barrel, buy a chassis, and for less than $2,000, you can build a custom gun, for really close to the same price. But if you can get an RPR for, $1,200 or $1,300 or whatever, then they're a great starter rifle. It says my connection's bad, so I'm gonna walk out here. You can see my Goonies and Top Gun and American Sniper posters. Let's see. Northern Utah Milk Jug Challenge. I don't know, man. I'm just looking at the summer thinking I need to do a Milk Jug Challenge, but summertime's so short in Utah that it's like I want to get out and do stuff with my family and stuff too. So if you can organize one, I've never done one up in Logan. Love to do one up in that area. I've done one in Perry, but it'd be fun one to do up in northern Utah somewhere. Adios, Rick. Loophole. Nobody shoots Loophole, man. I don't know why, but nobody shoots Loophole. It's weird because back when I first started shooting long range, Loophole Mark IVs were awesome. They were right there with Night Force. But since then, I think they've got a little high on their horse. I think they're asking way too much money for their scopes and for what they are. And there's just better options out there. So if you've got a Loophole VX3, shoot it. But if you're going to go buy a scope, I would take a real hard look at, in that price point, probably a Citron or maybe even the Vortex PST Gen 2s, but I really like Citrons. I would look at the SWFA HD line. Those are awesome. H100V is a great powder for 6.5 Creedmoor, just more temp sensitive than 4350. Okay. Yeah, I just haven't used it before. Scored 3 pounds of H4350 at Cabela's, but it's not my go-to powder because it's hard to get. It's true. It is hard to get. If you get it, get a bunch of it. Oh, man. Bergar B14. So they're supposed to send me one of those to test. I told them that I'd love to do a video with them, but the arrangements on, the money it would cost to go and do a video and ammo and everything else, I was trying to get them to help me out with that, and they weren't too keen on that idea. They kind of gave me the old, well, we've got channels that are way bigger than you that don't ask us for that kind of stuff, and so still in talks about that. But between the B14 BMP and the Ruger Precision Rifle, I really like the BMT's chassis. I haven't shot one, but if it shoots well, I mean, RPR, there's tons of people that have them, so they're proven. They're going to be pretty solid, but they do have some weaknesses too. Where the Bergara, I really like the chassis, man, and you could always rebarrel it. So I don't know, man. I might be crazy and say go with the Bergara, but it's a toss-up. Reloading dies, I'd go with Forester or Redding. Wooden dies are good too, but Forester I think are just as good, if not better, than Redding, and they're cheaper. And then Redding dies are awesome. They're just a little more expensive. Oh my gosh, hair gel. I use, what do I use that stuff? It's that manly stuff. Some kind of paste. I don't know. Nice try. Oh my gosh. Kevin, this is really embarrassing, but I don't even own a chronograph. I need to buy one. But I haven't been paying attention to my standard deviation or any of that stuff. I get out to shoot so little. Like if I go out, I'm like shooting videos or I'm in a competition, and I haven't had to do load development on a gun for a long time because I've either bought one that's already had a great load developed for it, or, I was shooting my 7-300, which I did all the load development, and it's been so long I don't even remember what the extreme spread was. But some things that you can do to help with that, your neck tension is important, so I would definitely buy dies that are bushing dies, and I would research and watch some videos, go on AccurateShooter.com, go on some bench rest forums, get some guys that really know what the hell they're doing when it comes to reloading, and there's also some good books out there about it, and you want to take and make sure that your neck tension is right, that it's consistent. You also want to make sure you're picking a load that's, the fastest load is not always the best load. In fact, usually you find better nodes at lower speeds. So find shoot a ladder test, for instance. So I'd look for some videos on how to do a proper ladder test to find out what your nodes are, and then work your recipes and really tune your load to find the best extreme spread and standard deviation. You can also do some research, like you can get Quick Load, which is like a program for PCs where you can run different loads, and they'll kind of give you an idea of what are some good options out there. And then if you ask other people for honey loads, a lot of times people will find very similar loads that shoot well. Like a lot of guys with a 6.5 47 will find like 40.5 or 40.6 grains of H3 4350 really shoot well. But be careful. You always want to work up to those, so you don't, because every gun's different, so you don't want to cause a problem. The flow in my hair, Jake, you're killing me. 260 RIP channel. No, I haven't. I'll have to check it out. What brand of hair gel? I use Crew, okay? I use Crew hair gel. It's not hair gel though. It's the paste stuff. Oh, beard oils. No, I don't use beard oils. You need to go follow the Man Spot on Instagram. He's hilarious. He's got good beard oil. I don't let my beard grow long enough. It starts getting to the point where it's itchy, I get rid of it. Howa. People just don't shoot Howas. The only guys that shoot Howas are like varmint hunters. So I'd probably stay away from a Howa. I'd buy a Tikka or a Ruger or a Bergara or a Remington 700 or something like that. No, I don't comb my beard. Why is this all about my beard? I mean, I've got a killer until I've got a great Magnum PI stash, but stop talking about my beard and my hair. You want to upgrade to scope that has 100 click elevation. You mean 100 minutes of angle? 1000K, Gen 2 PST. I don't know about the elevation you're looking for, but some other options I would consider would be SWFA, the HD line. The Citron S3 options are really good. Those are some you may not have heard of that are really solid, so both of those are good. The Nightforce SHV is just over $1,000, and it'll be pretty solid, but I don't think it's got... I think what you meant to say was 100 minutes of angle. There's very few scopes in that below $100,000 price point that are going to have that. So if you step up to like a ATAC R for $2,000, then you're going to get into those that have like 120 minutes of angle of elevation. Have a White Oak Armament SPR barrel like yours on the way. Any recommendations on break-in? I don't really believe in break-in. Just go out and shoot it. If you want to run a patch down it, great, but I would just go out and shoot it. If you want to shoot it and clean it, shoot it and clean it a few times, whatever. But watch my video with John Krieger and George Gardner about barrel break-in. Most of those guys that really know don't do it. Like my builder, Moon from Crescent Customs, is one of the most amazing builders in the world, and he doesn't break in or clean his barrels. David Hutchins, I have no idea what an AK-96 is, brother. Sorry. Oh my gosh, Jake. Driving me crazy. Tika CTR, they're fine. I think you're paying extra for a barrel that's not going to be that much better. If it were me, I'd buy a Tika T3. I'd throw away the barrel, throw away the stock, get a XLR chassis, and send it in and get a aftermarket barrel put on it. And I'd have a custom rifle versus paying, a little less and having a factory CTR, but they're okay. Kind words, appreciate you watching some of my videos. I haven't talked to you a few times on Instagram trying to go shoot, but everyone in that group messages has a busy schedule. Oh, I didn't realize you're in that group, West Desert Shooter. Yeah, we need to get out and shoot, man. The Burris, I know one friend that shoots a Burris, and he's a really solid, amazing shooter, knows a lot more than I do. So I'm sure they're fine, but I don't see a lot of guys doing it, which makes me think, for my money, I'd probably go with a Night Force SHV or something like that. How many Canadians do the Milk Jug Challenge? We haven't had a Canadian yet, so why don't you come down and be the first? We've got 2 openings for our May 26th, 27th Milk Jug Challenge because our boys from Ireland had to drop out because of some one kid's dad is in the hospital. Celestron ED spotting scopes. Sorry, man, I don't. Love the live Q&A. Keep the good work. Thank you. Great. Thanks, brother. Thoughts on fluted barrels? Are they more rigid? Fluting your barrel does absolutely nothing. The only thing it does is cut the weight. That's it. It's not gonna cut a tremendous amount of weight, but if you do some really deep flutes, it'll cut weight. But now that you've got really good carbon fiber options from Proof and Carbon 6, that's going to cut a lot more weight, and it's going to bleed off the heat better. But people say, oh, a fluted barrel bleeds the heat better. Horse crap. If you think about like on a CPU in a computer, they have like a huge aluminum heat sink on it, or like a little RC gas motor has a huge heat sink. In order for it really to bleed any heat at all, you'd have to have fins that are huge on that barrel. JP has an AR barrel where they put huge aluminum fins on the barrel to try to bleed off the heat. The flutes in a normal barrel are not going to do much anything. Really all you're doing is it's cosmetic, it looks cool, and you're shaving off a little bit of weight, but it's also costing you another $150 or $200 to have it fluted, so I probably wouldn't flute it. I mean, I fluted my 7300 barrel just to make it look sweet, and because I didn't know what I was doing back then. If I had to do it again on a competition gun, I absolutely wouldn't flute it. I wouldn't even Cerakote it because it's something I'm going to burn up and throw away. But on like a 7300 where I'm not going to shoot it a ton and I'm not going to burn up a barrel very quick, I might Cerakote it just to make it look pretty and flute it, but just cosmetics only. Thanks, man. Jim S. Yeah, I enjoyed making the candid rifle demo. Actually going to be doing an awesome new bubble level review. It's an electronic bubble level that has lights that actually lights up, and you can mount it vertically and horizontally. And if I'm impressed with it, I've already kind of set things in motion, become a dealer for it because it's so cool. So you basically put it on there just like a bubble level, but you no longer have to actually look at the bubble level because it lights up with different colors. So like left is yellow, right is red, center is green, and you can set it to be like super precise. So if you're barely canted, it'll change the color. And then also you can set it where you can have it be vertical or horizontal. So as long as the gun's level, you can have the little lights vertically on like the side rail of your AR, and it'll still work and show when you're level when you're not. So look for that video to be coming out in the next month or so. They're sending me one this week. 1,000 yards, 7mm, 168 grouped at 4 inches, but I got lucky with a load. Just needed help with a 162 LDA extreme spread and SD. That's an awesome group at 1,000 yard. Savages are great, man. I got love for Savage. Beautiful thing is you can do those pre-fit barrels, which is awesome. So Savages are great. The 12 LRP was an awesome rifle, and then the Ruger Precision came out and just kind of stole the show because it had a lot more features as far as the buttstock and stuff. But Savages are awesome. For competition, I've seen a lot of guys struggle with them for various reasons, but they're great for a typical guy. Awesome rifle. Proof carbon fiber barrels. Proof makes an amazing barrel. I'm usually pretty skeptical of new things like that come out, but they're definitely proven. They're an amazing barrel. My only problem with the carbon fiber barrels is just the cost. I would totally run them. I've got a good relationship with some of the guys over there, and I could probably get one for free if I wanted one. But I honestly am kind of I don't know that I'd want to run one just because so many of my viewers are budget oriented, and I don't know that I could turn to them and say you need to spend $900 on a barrel instead of $300 just because. If I'm building a hunting rifle or that I need to cut weight, then absolutely. If I have all the money in the world, I want to make a really pretty gun, or if I want to bleed off heat from the barrel better, then proof all the way, But for the typical guy spending 3 times as much on the barrel, I would rather see him spend the money on optics and other stuff. Yeah, man, we're always looking for volunteers for events. Good beginner scope. Let me show you. This is for Sam. So good beginner scope. I really, really like. Let's see if I can switch my camera around. So this is the SWFA 3-15. So this is what I have on my SPR, as you can see, my AR. So this is an awesome little optic. It's a 3-15. Don't mind all the crap on it. This is a new thing I'll be reviewing soon called the side shot that you can hook your phone in here and videotape through your scope while you're shooting. It's really cool. So this is a great little optic. It's a 3-15. One cool thing about it is it's able to focus down to 6 meters. I don't know if you can see that, but 6 meters. I mean, that's awesome for any gun, especially for like anything you're going to mount on a 22. It's also front focal plane, and it's only, if you get them on sale, they do like sales periodically. They'll be $5.99. The rest of the year they're $6.99, but they come with a throw lever. You can see it's just screwed in there. They've got nice tactile clicks. Just an awesome little scope. It's only a 42 millimeter or 43 millimeter bell, which doesn't let in a ton of light, but it's got a really cool reticle, and it's a great little beginner scope. Also, the Citron S3s I really love. This one's their 10-50, so it's kind of huge. We use that for our 22 marksman challenge, or for our 22 competitions, because you need that extra magnification. But they also make like a 6-24 and 8-32. And they run about anywhere between $700 and $1,000, but they're really awesome. The SWFA also makes an HD line that starts out in like the $1,200 to $1,400 range. Those are really awesome as well. They're made really well. So there's some good beginner ones. They also make fixed optics that are solid. They're only like $200-$300. Favorite trigger? That's a great question. My 7300, which is in my safe. My 7300 has a Schiller trigger in it, actually. But when I got the gun built, my builder, who's amazing, he tuned it up so it's just incredible. But I've heard really good things about Trigger Tech. I'm going to reach out to them and see if I can't get one of those to put in my new build that I'm doing right now. But Jewel, you can't go wrong with those. Everybody loves a Jewel trigger. The Timney Calvin Elite, I've heard a lot of hype about, but I've also heard some people that really don't like it. So Timney usually makes good triggers. If you really want to spend a lot of money, there's like the Bix and Andy, and there's a couple others that are really crazy expensive that are really amazing. But you really can't go wrong with, a good old-fashioned Jewel or, one of those. Holy crap, I think I'm getting way behind. Here we go. Athlon Chronos, I already talked about this, Adam. Sorry, you probably missed it. But haven't had a lot of experience with the Athlons. But a lot of guys run them. I see a lot of guys selling them too, which makes me think that maybe they're not all they're cracked up to be. They're obviously kind of a small, new, up-and-coming company. So I don't know. They'd probably be fine for a mid-range scope, but I tend to like to go with things I know that a lot of people have used and are proven. So I don't know. I'd probably go with an SWFA or a Citron before I went with an Athlon, but that's just me. Slush and ED are great. Yeah, man, I don't know anything about those, David. Sorry. Yeah, SWFA makes awesome scopes for the money. I mean, $2.99 for their little fixed scopes is awesome. No, it's not a gun shop. This is just my little reloading room, my basement. Thanks, Jim. Good spotting scope for $500. Ugh. Look up Kowa, Kowa, and then they have another one called, there's Kowa, and there's another one. Go to creedmoresports.com. This is for Steve F. Go to creedmoresports.com and look at the spotting scopes they have. Those are guys that shoot like across the course and service rifle competitions, and those are optics that really aren't terribly expensive, but they're really solid. They've got some cool little stands and mounts too. So that's what I'd look at. Vortex probably makes some that are decent too, but I don't know. I got blessed with picking up a sponsorship from Swarovski, so I got hooked up with an incredible spotting scope. It's got a reticle built into it that turns on and off. It's really cool. Kanuki. I'm not sure what that is. AccuWedge? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not going to hurt anything, and it's cheap, so whatever. But I don't have one on my AR, and it shoots... Where the hell's that little piece of paper at? I don't have an AccuWedge, and that's what my AR shoots. That's 5 shots at 100 yards. So, don't know. Don't know that I'd waste my time on an AccuWedge. Seems kind of hokey, but... clamp on muzzle brakes. There's some good ones out there. I've never used one, so I can't really say. But I mean, if you get it installed right, it should be fine. Sorry, where? I'm confused. Citron versus Vortex, just depends. Citron's great for the price point. They're really awesome. I like them a lot. Vortex has some good options. The one benefit of the Citron over Vortex is you're not paying for the marketing. With Vortex, they're really big. They're really popular. They market a lot. They pay commissions to sales reps at like sporting goods stores. So they're incentivized to push their product. Where Citron is a ridiculously unknown company. And I think their price reflects that. I think they make a great scope. They're not as flashy and sexy looking per se. Like even like the old PSTs, like they looked pretty damn good. You know, the new PSTs I think are kind of, I don't love the eyepiece. It's kind of ugly. But the turrets are way better. So I don't know. I haven't tested the Gen 2 PSTs yet. I should have one in a couple of weeks, but I'm a big fan of Citrons. So. Canadians coming in the U.S. with guns, I don't see why that'd be a problem. I mean, it's more of a problem, I think, going north into Canada with our guns. So, I'd love to see you come down, Tegan, and come down to the Milk Jug Challenge. Like I said, we have 2 of the $200 spots available, and we've got some awesome sponsors. So it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be May 26th, 27th. So shoot me an email at either info or Bryce at longrangeshooters.utah.com, and I'll get you the info. And we can talk about it. A lot of the guys that are coming from like Australia and the guys from Ireland that were going to come, they like posted on we have a Facebook event with everybody that's going to be competing in it, and they posted all the information about what you need to do to bring your gun across the border. But people do it all the time, so I don't think it'd be that bad. Laser rangefinders, if I were to recommend one to the average guy, I'd probably say go with a SIG Kilo or the new Kilo 2400 AB. But if you can get a Kilo 2000 for $350, that thing will range out to a mile and even further in good conditions. That's awesome. So that's the one I would probably recommend for a typical guy's price point. Keep in mind, most rangefinders, if it says it'll do 1,000 yards, plan on it doing 1,000 yards like in the dark in your dreams, and probably 500 yards on a regular basis. So you got to get something that's built to do a lot further, or that says it'll do a lot further than what you actually want to do if you want it to actually work. That's just the nature of rangefinders. Bench rest shooting, I'll take a 12 LRP over a Reaper any day. Yeah, I'd agree. Yep. The Reaper's more designed, with all the adjustability and stuff. It's kind of cool, but they're pretty close. Bighorn actions are phenomenal. In fact, I had one on order. I had one that I bought, and then when I was at SHOT Show, Ted from American Rifle Company, who makes the Mousing Field action, was drunk as a skunk and was offering the Mousing Fields instead of $1,600. He was doing them for like $1,100 and something. And I pulled my credit card out of my pocket so fast, it was unbelievable. And I bought that, so I backed out of the Bighorn. But Bighorns are phenomenal. The guy that does the machining on Bighorns, that designed the Bighorn, that developed the Bighorn, was actually one of the original machinists on the Star Wars project for NASA. So you will not find an action that has better machining than a Bighorn. They are phenomenal. And they have a floating bolt face. You can swap bolt faces. You can change calibers. They're pretty awesome. The one that I went and played with wasn't as smooth as I would like, but it was sexy, and they're awesome actions. Estimate phase, great. Yep. Kestrel wind readers. What's the minimum I should spend on one? It really just depends. You need to make sure you get one that can do everything that you need. So I think the new ones they've changed from a 4500 to a 5500. I would get the 5500, the regular one. And then if you get one of the older ones, you could probably find a 4500, even the 4500 AB, which has applied ballistics. You could find one of those really cheap since they're the old discontinued model. So you could find one of those or get the 5500 Kestrel or the 5500 AB, but those are pretty expensive. But really you want something that's going to be able to give you altitude, humidity, temperature, wind, obviously. It'd really be great if it could give you density altitude as well, which is just a combination of temperature, barometric pressure, and altitude. So hope that answers your question, John. What's better, a chassis or manner style? Totally, opinion. I like both. I mean, I've got a Manners on my little CZ there. Love it. I run chassis on pretty much everything else. So chassis are cool because they have a lot of great features. They are self-bedding, but these also, they feel really good in your hand. Manners has a folder now, which is awesome. It's just opinion, just, whatever you like better. But chassis tend to have maybe a few more options. Like, they'll have a rail on the front. You can mount stuff to it a little easier. They have a lot more things included, where with the Manners, you've got to, add those things on, and they can get pretty expensive pretty fast. But I would love to rock a Manners. The new build I'm doing, I've got something worked out with J. Allen, so I'll be running a J. Allen chassis, which are ridiculously expensive. But they're really amazing the way they're built and whatnot. So, but Manners are awesome. The only crappy part is just the weight it takes to get one. How often am I full length size? I actually always full length size, just because my competition gun, I want to make sure it chambers every time. So I'm more concerned about speed and making sure it chambers quick and fast and easy than I am about having the utmost. And there's actually a lot of argument about whether neck sizing is really any better than full length sizing. So I full length size, but on my 7300 I only neck size. Annealing kit's working great. Love the annealies. It's working great. It's definitely not as fancy as the Giraud, but it's also half the price. Lindsay, you want me to come to Canada or you want to come here? Oh, wow, we've got an evangelist in the group. G7 rangefinder. I've got a buddy that's literally bought and used every high-end rangefinder there is, from the Leica, what's it called, the Leica 2500B or whatever, that's like $3,000. He and I both run a Vectronics Terrapin, which are $2,000. And he's had several of the G7 BR2s, and when you side by side with all those other really high-end ones, the BR2 tends to throw like varied numbers, like it's not as consistent. So you'll range the same target and you'll get different ranges. And it just didn't, it was the one out of all the ones he tested that didn't, that more often, the most often didn't line up with the other rangefinders. So he'd do the Terrapin, it would give it, 1,122 yards. Then he'd do the Leica and it would do 1,121 yards. And then, the next one, whatever. And then that one would be off by 10 yards or 15 yards. But could have been the one that he was running, but he's had several and he isn't a big fan of the G7, and makes sense. They're a really small company. I mean, they make a cool product, but obviously they're R&D and they're having it made overseas or something. So it's, I don't know, not a huge fan of the G7. It's cool what it does, but I just don't think the quality and consistency is there as where it could be or should be. Factory ammo, I would try the Federal Gold Medal Match. 1 in 10. I'd say I'd go on the website or go on Burger Stability Calculator, go on their website and look at that and find out what's going to stabilize best in a 1 in 10. But I would think like 175 grain Sierra Match King with the Federal Gold Medal Match ammo would probably be a really good option. Night Force HHV, love those scopes. They're awesome for the money. Bergara HMR, I held one and played with one at SHOT Show. You probably saw the review video. They're really solid. I mean, for a factory rifle, kind of a starter rifle, I think they're a great option. The stocks are actually really solid and made really well. It's not a Manners, it's not a Macmillan, but it's solid. So I wouldn't have any problem recommending one. You'll probably see us do a review on one. 6 Creedmoor one would be awesome. I don't think they offer that, but they may. I haven't messed with the nozzlers. I pretty much just bought a ton of burgers. I bought like 1,000 burgers, and I've got more back there of the 140 grain hybrids. So, I just haven't tried the nozzlers. They actually reached out to me about, sponsoring us or having us do some stuff, and I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, they make great stuff, but I don't know. I already had a lot of burgers, so you guys want to see guns, not my ugly face. I meant to pull up the chat log. But yeah, I mean, all the bullet companies are coming out with some really amazing new bullets and with high BCs and stuff, so I haven't had a chance to do a lot of testing with them. Any way to add a Harris bipod to an AR or any substitute for the Harris? Oh, are you kidding me? Look at this. Right there, brother. Go to American Defense Manufacturing. They make a great mount. Just go get yourself a Strike Industries little Picatinny rail. I'll show you. So there's the Strike Industries rail. It's got a little flush cup on it. And then get yourself one of these. Here, let me pop it off. Hold on. If I can drop a gun here. So this is the American Defense Manufacturing adapter. So just get yourself a Picatinny rail and then get one of these ADM mounts. It's got a quick release. It's adjustable. And then that just mounts to your Harris bipod. It's got a little swivel stud on the bottom. And there's a lot of these out there. You can get cheap ones on Amazon for like nothing, but I'd be worried about how solid they are. They're all made in China, but these are really solid. I want to say these are like $60 or something. But they're really solid. David Johnson, a can, like a suppressor. I personally don't really think you need to go with a 223 or a 5.56 can. I would just get a 30 cal can. That's what I run on my SPR. I don't know if I'm even aiming at the right place, but I just run a 30 cal can. I've got a Silencer Co. Omega on the way. I love Thunder Beast cans. They're made in Wyoming. They're probably the best precision can out there. So I would do a 30 cal can, and even with the Omega from Silencer Co. Great can. I have one of those on the way. Should be done here in like a month. and you can take the end cap, or it kind of has a baffle or like a muzzle brake on the end. You can unscrew that and put a flat baffle or flat end cap, and you can actually buy a 5.56 end cap and put it on there. And what that does for you is the 30 cal can has a lot more volume to it, so it's actually going to be a lot quieter than a 5.56 can. And then if you put that end cap, then you're not getting all the air escaping through that 30 cal hole. It's tight, just like a 5.56 can would be, and that's going to be your best bet by far. Arrow 6.5 Creedmoor rifle. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I've heard from other manufacturers that doing a 6.5 Creedmoor AR can be tricky. If you watch my video with Falcor Defense, he talks a little about the dwell time and other stuff. But I've seen guys build 6.5 Creedmoor ARs that work fine. As far as Arrow goes, I know Arrow makes some really good stuff. My concern would be in the AR world, barrels are not treated the same way, or they're not categorized the same way. So you'll have a company, I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but you'll have a company that's got a big name like Noveski or somebody like that. They'll go get some random barrel maker to make a barrel and put their name on it, and all of a sudden they call it a match grade barrel, and they'll sell it for $400, and it's really no better than anything else. It's probably chrome lined, it's not hand lapped, and so on. Where in the precision rifle world, you either have a factory barrel or you have a custom barrel, and a custom barrel is hand lapped. It's going to be incredible when you shoot it. Where in the AR world, there's a lot of gray area there, and there's a lot of crap. Like my White Oak Armament barrel was only like $240. They're like $260 now, but it's a full-on 100% match grade hand-lapped barrel that's capable of shooting, that incredible 5-shot group. Whereas a lot of other AR barrels that are $360 won't come close to that. So that would be my only concern if you're buying their barrel. That who made that barrel, because I know Arrow didn't. They're not a barrel maker. So who made the barrel? Was it hand lapped? Because the barrel is everything in the AR. That's really what's going to make it shoot well or not. But could shoot incredible. It could shoot okay. I would probably say, because of what their market is, what their goal is, what their segment is, that it probably is going to shoot decent to okay. Maybe it'll shoot great, but I would look more at a custom builder. Like I would go check out like 6mmar.com. Like the 6AR Turbo is amazing. The 6 Hagar is amazing. Those are all AR-15 platforms. I'm sure JP makes a great AR. If you really want to go and get an amazing built AR-10, go with the GA Precision Gap 10. It's going to be a lot more expensive than the Arrow, I'm sure, but it's going to be amazing. Falcor Defense makes a killer AR, so check those guys out too. All right, I'll get the 7300 out. It's got a friggin' case stuck in the barrel, so it's out of commission, but this is funny. I keep my cookies in my safe. My stinking wife and kids don't eat all my Oreos and stuff. See if I can drop another expensive gun on the floor. All right. Sorry, guys. Jeez. Stupid bipod spikes better not screw up my new workbench I just bought because I'm too lazy to build one. There she is, the famed 7300. Try to hold still for you. So it's actually a 338 chassis, just to accommodate I had to get a mag that was long enough to accommodate the bullet, so I just took a 338 mag and bent in the lips, filed them down a little bit to make it work. I actually used to shoot this in PRS competitions. Back before I knew what the hell I was doing. It was pretty awesome though, shooting 180 burgers at 3,150 feet per second at a PRS match, just smashing stuff and breaking targets and blowing people's mind. This thing is so loud. That's that Badger thruster brake, and then look at the blend he did on that. I mean, it's probably loose right now, or I could pull it off with my hand, but that unscrews. Once again, he fluted this one because I didn't know any better, but I probably wouldn't. I'd flute this one again just because it's pretty, but I don't flute any of my other stuff. So, yeah, the old AIAX chassis. Got the same old Night Force ATAC R, first generation, second focal plane on there. Night Force rings, cheap Amazon, bubble level. Defiance Deviant action. Let's get the fluted bolt. This thing's awesome. It shoots amazing when it doesn't have a friggin' case stuck in it, of course. All right, what other questions here? High power optic for precision AR 15. What mag range would you go with? On my SPR, which I just threw on the floor, I run a 3 to 15. I think that's a great magnification range for an AR. 15's plenty to get out to 1,000 and beyond, which I've done with this rifle many times. Shot a milk jug with it at 1,000. So I really like, this is really hard to do one-handed when taking the bipod off, but I really like this SWFA 3 to 15. Great little optic. It's only about $500-600. Great glass in it. It's Mills. It's front focal plane. It's just a great little scope. Any place close to Pelican Point to do 200 yards plus? Absolutely. Just go south of Pelican Point. Just keep driving south. Go past the bottom of the mountain. The road's going to bend from going kind of southwest and start going kind of directly south or southeast. Go maybe a quarter mile and there's a kind of a little hill. Get off right there. There's a little dirt road and just go across Soldier Pass. Anywhere right there in Soldier Pass. That's where I filmed a lot of the videos actually. Swampworks JLK? No, I do not have any experience with that. Have you talked to Falcor Defense about their Dracos barrel system? I have actually. So if you watched our video, I actually interviewed Clint Walker, who's no longer with Falcor Defense, by the way. Kind of crazy. Interviewed him about those. The funny thing is it's the old straitjacket system, which there's a couple guys in Utah that are very respectable, some of the best shooters we have, and they went with the straitjacket way back in the day when it was called the Teledyne Tech straitjacket, and one of them absolutely swore by it, thought it was the most amazing thing ever, and then a couple other guys soon after had an absolutely horrible experience with it and with the company, and they're now out of business. And they sold the patent to Falcor Defense for the Dracos. So the Dracos has a lifetime warranty on the barrel, so if you burn it out, they will send you another one, which I believe in the principle of what they're trying to do with the proprietary media that they put in between the sleeve and the actual barrel. But the problem is stress relieving that barrel and making sure it's perfectly straight and so on is a pretty technical process. And so that would be my concern. But I would love to talk to Sonia, the owner of Falcor Defense, and her husband. She's a super sweet lady that I met at SHOT Show, and see if we couldn't get one of their AR-15s and like a 6.5 Creedmoor to shoot. But because they talk about how accurate they are, but a lot of guys when I posted that video were like, yeah, prove it, let's see it. And I'd like to. So we'll talk to them, see if they'll give us one, send us one to play with. Thanks, Dave. Glad we could help. 7 Red Mag or 300 Win Mag. I'm a 7mm fanboy, so I'd probably go with a 7mm Rem Mag. If you can go with a 7 SOM or a 7 WSM, that would be definitely the way I would go. True ELD-M bullets are made out of unicorn horns. Yes, they are. That's what I hear. Yeah, these scope caps are the Vortex Defenders. This is such a small little scope that I had to put a zip tie on there. But you'll see I've got Vortex Defenders on all these. For the money, they're amazing. I mean, these 60mm ones kind of look funny because the bell is so big they don't make scope caps for it. But even these Vortex Defender 56 or 55mm or 56mm fit on that big 60mm bell. This is the Citron S5. It's a badass scope, but they're kind of expensive for what they are. 10 to 50. It's cool because it's got this fine focus, so it's got a fast focus, and then it's got a fine focus. But awesome scope, 10 to 50 by 34mm. All right, what else? Prefit barrels for Savage. I think any of the like Criterion or McGowan are going to be great. And then I don't know who else makes them, if Bartlein or Brux or Hawk Hill or any of those make them, but those are all great barrel makers. A great place to go look for barrels, I don't know if they do prefits or not, is bugholes.com. It's a good place to go. How many firings would you shoot until you would anneal 6.5 Creedmoor? I anneal after every single firing. You don't have to do that, but if you're looking to extend the life as long as possible, I would anneal after every firing. It's not going to hurt. If you got a annealer, why not? Good night, dudes. Know any guys from Sniper Central doing classes in Montana worth the money? Sorry, man, I don't. I would probably go down and hook up with some of the guys in Wyoming and maybe take a class from them, or just buddy up with them and go out with them. There's some great folks over there. Lake City, Michigan. No, I've never been up there, man. Never been to Michigan. I actually did a video, Think Baker. I did a video from SHOT Show of the 7-35 ATAC-R. They actually sent me this ATAC-R. It's the 5-25, which I absolutely love. And I'm going to have to send it back. It's part of their T&E program where I have to send it back after X number of days. So maybe we'll get a 7-35. I'd love to get a 7-35 and check it out. Yes, I do need a trash bag. It's all just papers. It's where I throw away all my shipping papers and crap. It's a big old garbage can, though. I do not know Tiberosaurus Rex. I've reached out to him a couple times. He did actually join LRSU about a week ago, which was pretty cool, but I've never talked to him. I'd love to talk to him. He seems like a cool guy. He's kind of a funny dude. I have looked through and played with an IOR Valdata, and they're a good scope. I think they're probably underrated for what they are. But then again, like I looked through my buddies, he bought one. I think he got a good deal supposedly, and I want to say he paid like $1,800. But I don't know, man. I wasn't a fan. I didn't think the glass was that great, because I was thinking, oh, this is pretty inexpensive. Maybe I'll buy one of these, but I wasn't very impressed with the glass in them. But I think they're a quality scope. I think they're solid. If you can get one at a great price, then it's a great option to consider. And a lot of guys absolutely swear by them. But I don't know. Didn't knock my socks off by any means. You guys have seen this before, right? Little shorty. Doesn't have a can on it, so barrel's kind of tucked back in there. So funny story, my buddy Jim, he went out with some guys, and they had a 300 blackout like this, and they thought it'd be cool to not run it suppressed, but to put a muzzle brake on, and they had the barrel like this where it's underneath the handguard. So they put a muzzle brake on it, and it was clear back here. Absolutely blew the handguard apart, like just like a pop can in the freezer. Pretty crazy. This thing's a lot of fun. See, I rock some Vortex once in a while. Yeah, Tiberosaurus Rex doesn't really respond to people so much. At least he hasn't for me, because I reached out to him about the whole YouTube debacle about, whether they were cutting revenue for YouTube channels or not. And he hasn't gotten back to me. I reached out to several guys like Iraqi 888 and Iraqi Veteran and 8541 Tactical. I've actually talked to Tim, I think his name's Tim, the 8541 Tactical guy, a couple times. He was going to go to dinner with us at SHOT Show, but we weren't able to put it together. But haven't heard from anybody whether that's actually true. I know my revenue's gone down a little bit. I didn't hear about that explosion. Night Force does have an awesome warranty. It's not the end all be all Vortex warranty where you can throw yours off of a building and they'll replace it. But they have a really solid warranty. If it's anything that's gone wrong with the scope, they'll replace it for you. So they're really solid. Bolt actions. I don't know. I've got a mousing field on its way, but those are expensive, and some people don't necessarily think they're all they're cracked up to be. But I don't think you can go wrong with any of the custom. I'm assuming you're asking about custom actions. I think Bighorn are awesome, Surgeon are awesome, Defiance are awesome. This action over here is a Defiance Deviant. It's super sexy and heavy duty and awesome. I wish I never would have Cerakoted it because it's not as smooth as it would be if it. It's still crazy smooth. You can see it slides like no other. But Defiance make great actions. Mousing Field is an awesome action, but kind of pricey. Bighorn is an incredible action. Surgeon, I asked my builder Moon, who is absolutely incredible. He's like a year out on building new rifles for people, and his favorite action is a Surgeon. He's really old school, but Surgeons are great. They're basically a Remington 700 that's been super beefed up. Bighorns are awesome. Defiance makes a great action. I haven't looked at an Ultimatum before. Those are a new one that just came out. Lone Peak Arms makes an action here in Utah I think it's pretty solid. But you can't go wrong with Surgeon, Defiance, Kelby's. Bat actions are awesome. Stiller actions are okay. That's probably my least favorite of them all. Handguns. My current go-to... Oh, I don't have it. Oh, shit. I have a Glock 43 that I carry every day. Oh, thoughts on the SHVF1? Yeah, they're great. SHVF1s are awesome. So yeah, I wouldn't have any problem recommending one of those for the price point. To get back to your question on handguns, so I carry a Glock 43 every day, and then I have a Glock 19 as well. I've got a buddy that owns Tier 1 Concealment. So if you haven't checked out their holsters look at his Instagram page, the guy is insane. He freaking, no joke, he's faster than True Exodus or Barrett Fawbush. If you follow him on Instagram, he's crazy fast. But this kid in Utah, he literally, he's shot he's got one video where he dumps some water on a steel plate and lets it drip off, and he draws, levels, fires, and shoots a drop of water out of the air from 7 or 8 yards away, or typical pistol distance. He also does one where he shoots a hostage plate, it's like an IPSC target with a hostage plate. It knocks over another plate, which pops an Altoid up in the air, and he shoots the plate, pops the Altoid up in the air, shoots the Altoid out of the air. And then he's done one with coffee from Black Rifle Coffee dripping, and he's shooting the drop of water, the drop of coffee. Just insane. So he makes a really cool holster, and it's like an appendix carry where you carry up here. And I'm going to get one of those, and I'll probably start carrying a Glock 19 on a regular basis. So Glock 43, Glock 19, and then I have a little suppressed 22 you guys have probably seen. I've got a PMR 30, which is kind of a cool little gun. So that's it as far as handguns go. Northland Shooter Supply is a great place to get pre-fit barrels. Yeah, sounds familiar. I haven't been shooting in Colorado. I'd love to. I grew up in Wyoming, but in the other corner. I call it the corner that Utah didn't want. Southwest corner. Holy crap, I think I'm at the bottom of the comments. And there's another one. Thanks, Richard. Another question about Athlon. I get so many questions about those. I don't know. They must be doing some killer marketing because everybody seems to know about them. I think they're probably an okay scope. I haven't played with one, haven't shot one. I've looked through them before. I've kind of played with them, but not extensively. There are a lot of guys that get them. I also see a lot of guys sell them, which I see a lot of them on the secondhand market, which kind of makes me think maybe they're, not all they're cracked up to be, which wouldn't surprise me. I have to look at things and say, okay, sometimes having a lesser known company like like Citron or SWFA can be a diamond in the rough and be incredible for the price. But with those, I kind of think that a small group of guys probably got together, kind of like the Gunworks BR7 rangefinder or whatever, same principle. It's a small company. They got together, figured out a way to get this cool technology made, but you have to think that they're so small that they probably didn't do as much R&D and they probably didn't have as much quality control and everything else that a big company like a Vortex or somebody else did. So I think the Athlons are probably pretty decent, but you got to think that they probably have a huge margin. They're definitely made overseas, so they're probably not that stellar. So it's kind of like a Vortex from a really small company. I don't know. I don't think they're going to take the industry over by storm, but I think if they're probably okay. For my money, I'd probably go with a Citron or a SWFA HD or something like that, even a Vortex or something like that. But I'll have to get one and do some reviews. People ask about it all the time, so I need to get one and play with it. I don't know why. It wasn't Jim that left Falcor. It was, or maybe that is his name, Clint left Falcor. He went to start his own thing. I think he just wanted to go another direction and start his own thing. So I think he started his own AR company. Cool guy, though. He's super funny on Instagram. He's got some really off-color, hilarious stuff, but he's really intelligent, really cool in person. Yeah, so there you go. The Athlon, kind of having some issues with it. Yeah, Steve F., I don't know if you're answering a question or making a statement, but I agree. The Tika T3, get a KRG chassis or even like an XLR chassis. I really like my KRG. I like the ergonomics of it. Lately, I've had a few issues with it. I've heard that the guys that have used both really like the Element or the XLR chassis a lot better. So I may swap it out for one of those, or maybe even like a MDT is going to send me a chassis to play with, so I might throw it in that and see how I like it. I don't like the look of the MDT. I really like looks wise. I love the KRG. I don't like the XLR, but I think fit and finish, the XLR is probably a lot better. Oh, Steve F., I think you were asking who you would have build a gun. My favorite builder is Moon from Crescent Customs, but short action customs are really awesome. I mean, if you go on like the Precision Rifle blog and look at, they basically do surveys of all the best PRS shooters in the world and do like the top 50 shooters and say, who their builder was. So you can get a list of all the really good builders right there. So that's, short action customs, rifles only, or not rifles only, long rifles Inc., short action customs, Crescent Customs, GA Precision is good. There's one called Pierce Cision. His name's Ryan Pierce. He shoots like some of his rifles have broken like world records, and he does a lot of stuff for like F class and things like that. His are really incredible. I mean, even like local guy here, Young Guns, he does a pretty good job. Ron Young. I mean, there's when you're building a rifle, you either do it right or you do it wrong. There's not really a whole lot of gray area. But what you want to have is somebody that's got really great attention to detail. The other problem you might have is a lot of rifle builders who are really, really good. Also, maybe have like terrible customer service because they're really good at one thing and not two things. So that can be kind of a concern too. But any of those I mentioned are all really solid. I own SWFA. I own a 3 to 15. I've never owned their HD, but I've played with a lot of them and shot a lot of them, and they're really great. I'm just a big fan of SWFA. I've also owned one of their fixed power optics, and for the price, they're great too. Noveske barrels, no, I don't have any experience with them. But that would be one of the ones where I'd be concerned that you're paying for a name and you're getting, like I bet if you really looked at it, if you kind of had the backstory, I bet half of the top big name AR companies out there probably all get their barrel from the exact same place. Okay? Got fuzzed out there for a minute. Yeah, so I couldn't say about Noveske, but my concern would be that, they make amazing stuff. But my concern would be that, like I said, half of the AR companies out there probably get their barrels from the same factory. They slap their name on it, paint a different color, get a different profile, and call it theirs. So that would be my only concern. If I'm going to spend money on one, I would probably spend money on one that I absolutely positively know is a match grade barrel. So, I don't know, 808 Shooter says he loves his, so, very good. You're boring as hell. Thanks, Titus. Haven't heard a lot about velocity triggers. Shut up already. You are so boring. Thanks, Titus. Appreciate it, brother. Would $500 more for an ATAC R 730 be worth it over 25 max power and a 6.5 Creedmoor? I think 5 to 25 on a Creedmoor is fine. I don't think you need more than that. 7 to 35 would be great if you're shooting extreme range stuff. So if you're putting it on a Magnum like a 338 or a 7mm or something like that, or a SOM, then it makes more sense. But I think 5 to 25 for most everything is pretty solid. BMC, I think they make some good stuff. I don't know about their barrels. Schillen should make some good barrels. What do I like then? You talking about barrels? I'm a big fanboy of the White Oak Armament. So like I was showing the guys earlier, you can watch the videos about our SBR, or not SBR, SPR, Special Purpose Rifle. We did the entire build on our channel, and we also did my buddy's build on the channel. And that's a 5-shot group at 100 yards with my SPR, shooting 77 grain burgers with 23.5 grains of tack. So H1000 is what I shoot in the 7300, but I may switch over to the Burger 195s after I shoot up all my 180s, and if I do that, I'll probably go to I'm trying to think if it's Reloader 33, one of the reloaders. You can get better speeds out of it if you're shooting those heavy bullets. Ooh, accurate 22 ammo. A lot of shops are actually getting in more of the high-end 22 ammo. I think, honestly, like, this sounds kind of arrogant, but I think our 22 Marksman Challenge has kind of started a bit of a craze in the 22 long rifle world and some of the videos out there. And so I think you'll find more ammo available. I really like Lapua Center X, but some other stuff. Ely makes great 22 ammo. Probably more likely that you'll find that at like your Cabela's and your Sportsman's Warehouse, places like that. So Lapua Center X, Wolf Match Target, and Wolf Match Extra, I think it's called. So this is Lapua Center X. Amazing stuff. Let's see what else we got. This is called SK Standard Plus. It's made by the same company that makes Lapua. So that's kind of like a practice ammo. So it's like a $65 for 500, where the Lapua Center X is more like 125 for 500. There's also this SK Rifle Match. Also good stuff. I want to say this stuff's a little bit better than the yellow stuff. They have like different grades. It's all about consistency and how anal they are about the lot numbers and things like that. So those, and then Ely. Also Wolf. Wolf Match Target is also really good. I actually have a Schillen trigger in my 7300, and then I have the factory trigger in my Tika. They just tuned it. So I do not own a Jewel, but Jewel does make a great trigger. I may try a Trigger Tech, like a ball bearing trigger. I also might go crazy and get like a Bixen Andy or one of those really expensive ball bearing triggers just for the hell of it, just to try it out. Sandman! Love that guy. He joined. Steiner T5XI. So here's the funny thing about the Steiner. So those came out a few years ago, and they were all the rage because their turrets are really cool. How like you go to your second revolution, all of a sudden the numbers switch. And so tons of guys bought them because the price point's great. They've been around forever. They've been in the military, whatever. So they make great optics. But then they had a ton of problems with the Steiners. So a lot of guys were sending them back. A lot of guys were pissed. A lot of guys were dumping them like crazy. So I'm sure they fixed all the issues they were having, but I think they kind of just burnt the bridge with a lot of guys, so they just don't trust the Steiners anymore. But I'm sure they make it. I mean, the scopes were great. I mean, I almost bought one, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. compared with the SHV, I mean the T5X is definitely going to have more appealing tactical style, PRS style features like the turrets that chain, second revolution, the numbers change, and it's definitely set up more for that versus the SHV, which is more of a, designed to be more of their hunting line. That's a toss-up, man. You might be just as well off to go with the TX5, but I don't know. That's a toss-up. PST Gen 2 I haven't played with. I would probably put the TX5 and the SHV over the PST, but I haven't played with it extensively. If they've improved the glass in the PST, it'll probably be better, but just based off a price point, I would still probably say that the Steiner and the Night Force, definitely the Night Force, are going to be in a little higher class than the PST. Horus H59 reticle, no, but I have a Horus H37 reticle in this Bushnell that I used to compete with. If you watch our Desert Tech competition video, I took second place at the Desert Tech match with this optic, which has the H37, which is very similar to the H59, except that the creepy thing about this one is as you zoom in, it's front focal plane, so as it gets bigger, it also climbs. So your crosshair is not in the center of your optic. It actually climbs to the very, very top of your scope. So it's kind of weird, but the idea is that you've got I think it's I have to zoom in and see, but I think it's 15 mils or something in the view at 30 power that you can see and hold over, and even more if you're zoomed out, obviously. But I have that. I also have a Tremor 3 reticle in my Night Force ATAC-R, which is also kind of similar to the H59. It's not nearly